Interquest explores various pathways through which you can connect with the infinite wisdom of the universe and apply it to personal, professional, and spiritual growth. This program, featuring accomplished practitioners, educators, and authors, is provided by Infinity Foundation, an innovative center for holistic studies and research. We invite you to share this journey with us.
Hello, welcome to Interquest. My name is Jay Stone, your host for today, and our guest is passionately Pam Levin. Welcome, Pam.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate the opportunity to be a guest. Thank you.
Well, just from our short conversation before the show, I think I'm going to be a lot happier and better spirits after the show. So let me tell the audience about you. Pam is the founder and president of Create Amazing Health and the self-branded website Passionately Pam. She turns health upside down and on its side by focusing ancient holistic wellness and disciplines with cutting-edge health ideas. She is a thought leader, Huffington Post blogger, and I did read some of your articles.
Thank you.
And that's one of the reasons why I asked if you were a writer before in college, if you studied journalism. You're also Pam's also a motivational speaker and catalyst for health change, determined to inspire others and make being healthy fun.
Exactly.
So why don't you tell the audience a little bit about yourself and how you branded why you branded yourself Passionately Pam.
Thank you. Thank you for asking. My journey is a little unique in a way. I grew up in Detroit in a very middle-class family. My father worked for, of course, the automobile industry and was pretty much grew up most of my life there. It really grounded me. My roots are there in that I learned to appreciate very simple things in life and have a great outlook on things. I had a very supportive family and was always pretty much a go-getter, always trying to create things and do things. My mom would tell me this, But I basically went to an engineering school in Michigan, finished there, and worked for a couple years, and then went back to graduate school to get my MBA at the University of Michigan, came to Chicago, working at my very first real big job, building high-rise office buildings for a very large commercial developer. That was my first taste of, the real big job. And it's been such a transition, and now I'm in health and wellness, and I look back at my journey and go, what happened? But if I may speak to that,
Sure,
if I may speak to that, I've been through a lot of changes in my life, in my family life, in my personal life, and have all along been a pretty healthy gal. I love to exercise, love to eat healthy.
What kind of exercises do you do?
I'm a dancer.
Okay.
I'm a dancer by heart. I learned to dance very young. That has been...
So do you take dance classes? You give them? Or?
I used to teach them, but I took them for many years. A lot of my dancing now is just for my own self. It's really my own sort of meditation, if you will. I was a swimmer for years. I love being active. I cycle outside. So there's a lot of great things which I enjoy doing. And I think this journey for me into the health and wellness realm really was about learning about myself. And so after a lot of changes in my personal life, I decided to do some real soul searching and ended up going to study with Deepak Chopra, the Chopra Center, you might know, very well known, spiritualist, leader, health guru. And I studied holistic health there, was on the teacher's path, and that really fundamentally changed my life.
Well, is that where you started learning about the Far Eastern or the ancient ways of health and wellness?
Yeah, pretty much. I think I knew some of it, but I didn't really delve into the spiritual side until I really understood a lot of what I was learning about holistic health. A lot of our Western culture, and it's changing, it's definitely changing, but we don't necessarily always incorporate the spiritual part into our health and wellness regime as they do in the East. So this was a new beginning for me, and really an understanding of how to look at life differently and how the spirituality affects our health. That's what Ayurvedic and holistic health is really about. And that was a great base of understanding, a great learning foundation for me.
So are you practicing what you learned at the Chopra Center?
I practice it at home. I work my best to incorporate a lot of the Ayurvedic lifestyle. It's not for everyone, and I don't think that, I think there's a beautiful transgression if you can learn some of the fundamentals. It's very wisdom-based.
Well, I've never
which
heard.
Is beautiful.
I've heard of Ayurveda and Ayurvedic medicines or treatments, but I never heard of the Ayurvedic lifestyle. So, what is the Ayurvedic lifestyle?
Well, it's really more about living, not just. It's not just about being treated holistically, but it's understanding. And this is a whole nother session, but understanding your body, your constitution, your dosha, how you are as a person, generally how you would behave. How your body reacts to things. This is a fundamental part of it.
Well, so when you say Ayurvedic's not for everybody, but everybody needs to be the person on the outside that they truly are on the inside. And Ayurvedic allows for differences or even uniqueness.
It does. And I don't mean it's not for everyone. I mean, everyone can enjoy it and learn it, but they're maybe not going to jump into it all at once. It may be a process where they kind of learn the underpinnings of it and then start to follow it and then start to believe in it.
Okay. So how did growing up in Michigan and studying engineer and building high-rise prepare you for your career in health and wellness?
That's a great question. Oh, man. That's like an open-ended question here. I believe that, again, as I look back, I'm like, building buildings, but when I think about how a building is built, Jay, and the foundation, the platform that is required to make a structure, it's kind of like anything in life. We need to do that whether we build relationships, whether we build businesses, whatever we're building, we need a strong platform. Because there's going to be times in our life, whatever we're building is going to give way to stress, give way to turmoil, and that building has to be strong, that foundation. So as I look back at kind of making the analogy with building a building, it's how now I look at life. And everything that I try to create, I think, how do I create the best foundation for it?
And so how do people create a foundation for health, wellness, happiness, fun?
It's multi-dimensional, and that's not an answer to be elusive. It just is on many different, like the leg of like the table, has 4 legs. It's multi-dimensional, and I think that is really the beauty of what I'm trying to help inspire people to understand, that the wellness paradigm is shifting. It's not just about eating healthy food anymore and working out. Not to say that those aren't important. They're very important. We can't dismiss those. But the paradigm is shifting. So now we look at a lot of things to determine our wellness. We look at our emotion, how we deal with life. We look at how we perceive things, every life event you perceive and I perceive, we may perceive differently. It may cause you stress, it may not cause me stress. So those stressors affect our body. Our body produces a biochemical response to everything we perceive, we feel, we hear.
Well, this is the way the body weighs in on what we're eating or what we're doing or even what we're thinking. The body produces hormones and biochemicals based on our own thoughts.
Yeah, and that's, unfortunately, not a lot of people quite understand that yet. So I'm hoping to, through my messaging and doing it in a fun way, to help people understand that bigger picture, that paradigm. And it's a lot of other things. It's, how you perceive your own age, how you act joyfully, how you play, do you have fun in your life? Simple things increase or decrease your longevity. And there are, like I said, there's many levels to our wellness.
Well, I always say that the quantity of our life, the longevity of our life, depends on quality. You have good daily quality, you're going to be in optimal health, and through the day-to-day joy of living, you're just going to naturally live longer.
Yeah, and it is. There's great scientific evidence to prove that, but I don't think that is. I think many people want that, but they don't necessarily know how to get that.
Yeah.
Where they optimize their joyfulness every day. They want it. They just can't necessarily do it.
Mm-hmm. So what do you tell someone that wants it?
Oh, I knew you were going to ask that.
Yeah.
Well,
You have a lot of passion, but how do you inspire the passion in others?
Many ways. I really hope to help people feel the energy of me. Energy is huge. You know, we all have an energy. We all have an aura of us. And I think that if I can move through life and show people what it can do for their wellness and help them understand what it takes to get there, it's baby steps. And each person's going to be different. I can't say blanketly, you've got to do this, this, and this, and you'll be happy and healthy. It's a process. But it definitely takes digging deep in your own persona, in your own life, what you went through, and deciding and desiring change. You have to want it.
Yeah.
You have to want it.
Well, I agree with that, but let's say somebody's suffering from chronic depression or is battling cancer for the second time.
Yeah.
You know, those are very difficult challenges, and, you know, getting people with cancer or chronic depression, it's just difficult getting through the day.
It is. And
Yeah.
I feel that, you know, at that level where people are really suffering, I mean, they're suffering from pain. You know, is there a turning back point? Can you reverse that? I don't have the answer to that, but I feel like there's always hope. I'm a person of hope, and I feel like people that are in those circumstances, you know, belief can change things. It's not going to necessarily change their heartbeats. I think I wrote a post about that in Huffington. It talks about you have a limited number of heartbeats in your life. How do you want to live those out?
Mm-hmm.
So
you could say the same thing about breaths. You know,
Yeah,
the Chinese say,
yes.
you know, you've got a limited number of breaths. You breathe slower, twice as long, live twice as long.
yeah, and
Each breath.
that's a great point too.
Yeah.
Just about breathing.
Well, so what is your intention? And what is your intention that led to Passionately Pam?
Again, my intention is really to inspire individuals, to motivate them, to make them feel good about themselves. I mean, find that in them. Well, you know, be happy. And, you know, we talk about happiness, and everyone rants. Be happy. I'm happy. How do you get happy? It's like, happy. How do you get happy? I think we are, as Deepak Chopra would teach us, we have a set point for happiness that we're kind of born with. Okay, and this is based upon his teaching, so I'm taking this from him as a takeaway. But that set point is kind of in you. It's part of what you're born with in a way. But there's also influencing factors, such as your conditioning, how you grew up, your environment now, just your mindset. So that part of it, the mindset, that part is changeable. That's the part we can influence. And there's a huge study on brain neuroplasticity, meaning the ability of your brain to change. It's huge science, and it's very much advanced science, and they have shown that you can rewire your thoughts. It can change your body. It's not voodoo, it's real.
Well, and sometimes the opposite's true, is the brain can change, and that could lead to different thoughts, feelings, and behaviors.
Is what, if you could explain that, I'm not sure where
Well, let's say somebody has anxiety.
Okay.
And, you know, I could show a neuropsychiatrist 100 images of a brain with anxiety, or 100 brain scans, and throw in the brain scans of, say, 5 people with anxiety, and without even meeting them, they put their finger on and say, yep, these people have anxiety. And so they may give an anti-anxiety drug, and that would change the brain.
Changes the brain chemistry, right?
Right, and so a person would have less anxious thoughts, feelings, and behaviors.
Right.
But hopefully the person learns some skills so they can lose the pills and learn to manage the anxiety that way.
Yeah, and that is a very big topic, and
But even food, you know, food changes the brain. You know, alcohol, drugs. I mean, the brain weighs 2 or 3% of the total body weight, but uses 20 to 30% of the calories we consume. So 20 to 30% of everything we eat goes to fuel our brain. So we might as well put good food or brain food so that we can think more clearly and have better judgment.
Right, exactly. And again, not only just physical, tangible food, but energy food. I mean, emotion, feelings.
Well, meditation, prayer,
Right.
That has a healthy and positive effect on the brain.
Right. And you were mentioning, I think, at one point, yoga, and even even though the yoga, the physicalness of it, it's focused though, but it's also a relaxation too. So
Well,
that's empowering.
Well, if somebody's following the traditional path of yoga, you do the asanas, the physical postures, and then each practice ends with shavasana, or the corpse pose, which is really an advanced yoga pose, is to silence or quiet the mind or still the mind, where a person is more of a being than a doing, or the mind is more of a being than a doing.
And I think that is espoused by many spiritual leaders and even, holistic practitioners, helping people to understand the benefits of yoga, the benefits of meditation, for that quietness, and that is all about, for you as an individual, to find, not find your soul, you are your soul, but be your soul. That's what it's about. I mean, this is a whole spiritual side of health and wellness. And again, not many of us, I'm not saying you and me, but many of us in our culture, in our Western culture, don't understand necessarily the connection of that, and it's huge. It's really big.
20% of our gross domestic product goes for health care, and I believe if you look at the top diseases, many of the diseases are preventable.
For sure.
Just
the chronic diseases, yes.
Yeah, the cancer, the heart disease, cancer from, let's say, smoking, or heart disease from lack of exercise or poor diet. So why don't you tell our audience, some of the articles that you have published on your Passionately Pam website, or some of your Huffington Post articles, so they can...
Oh, man. I would love for each of you to take a peek when you have a time, but my articles really span the gamut. I wrote articles on some very, I want to say, bodily things, like talking about our skin and what's important about it. I talk about some nutritional things like lemons and what they do for our body when you eat the lemon juice. And I also
I can see a correlation between those two articles, because the lemons and the skin.
Yeah. But I also try to write some articles that are, that are more hitting our soul. I wrote an article about, oh my gosh, I've written so many, I'm doing a mind blank here, but just about things that affect our spiritualness, things that affect our soul, things that affect our emotion, because I want to help people see things in a different way, so I try to use an analogy with things. I wrote, it's kind of silly, but one of my earlier articles I wrote about, and this, please don't laugh, but you may, about a woodpecker that was pecking on my house, and this thing was driving me crazy. I mean, nuts. A woodpecker, a bird, okay? And this bird was pecking and pecking, pecking and pecking. And I went out there, and I'm like, I got, and I'm calling the man to fix the holes, okay? I was calling this man every month to fix, these holes were the size of like a golf ball. Mm-hmm. I thought, what? There's got to be a bigger picture here. Why is this bird? He's got a million trees around. Why me, So I wrote an article, as funny as it seems and crazy, about this woodpecker. And so
Did you name the woodpecker?
I named him Woody.
Oh, okay.
I mean, silly, crazy, stupid things, but about the whole purpose was, what was this bird teaching me? Because I try to be a big takeaway on everything that happens to me. What am I supposed to learn from this? What should I be getting out of this? A recent article I wrote was about the inn of intimacy. This was a really interesting article.
I want to find out what happened to Woody.
Wait, okay, I'll give you the bridge version. So I had the guy come out trying to repair all these holes, and literally, Jay, this is the truth, when I'm out there, the man is patching the holes, the woodpecker shows up and is pecking another hole. I mean, just like, nah, 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 you're not going to get me.
Yeah.
I mean, it finally went away. I mean, I think it just did its deed. It left. But it was about 6 months of this stuff. And I just said to myself, I kind of said, what's this takeaway? Why is this bird pecking at my house? And what I kind of discovered was, as crazy as this is, it was a time where I was needing to think about things going on in my life. And it was like pecking me, like, Pam, you got to take care of this. You got to handle this. And that's kind of how I related that silly bird to me.
Well, another take of view is that pecking is healthy and makes the bird strong.
Yeah.
So maybe instead of you being pecked, that you should be doing some pecking.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, that's another great way to see things. And that's part of what I try to help others see in life, that, your perspective changes everything. To how things happen to you, your life events. It could be something kind of bad, but how you take it affects you.
Oh, I got to tell you this amazing story. I was visiting my grandmother in a hospital, and they brought another patient in, and this woman kept yelling, "Nurse, nurse, nurse." Nurse would come in, she'd shut up. The nurse would leave, she'd yell, "Nurse, nurse, nurse." Nurse would come, shut up. This went on for 45 minutes. So I looked at my grandmother and I said, "Grandma, does that woman bother you?" She says, "No, she's got a healthy set of lungs."
Oh, funny.
Yeah, and I was being annoyed, and yet she could see, she could see something good in that person and good in the screaming and the yelling.
Wow.
So,
Smart grandma.
Yeah. So tell the audience about your In an Intimacy article.
I'll just break, briefly that. The article was based about, it was based on a woman's perspective on how.
On your perspective?
Kind of mine, yeah. But actually, I chat with women friends, and I'm always listening to what they're talking about and what they're thinking about, what's on the top of their mind. And we were talking about, the idea of sex versus intimacy and how women really crave that. We crave intimacy. And I say we, I'm generalizing, of course, but...
Well, what's your definition of intimacy?
It's that closeness. It's that bonding with that person in their soul and getting inside their head and really understanding them.
Well put. Intimacy really literally means the amount of self-disclosure.
Vulnerability.
Yeah.
So anyways, the whole article is really about that, and it is... It's again my perspective. That's as a writer, I get to do that sometimes. I do write articles that are research based, and I do a lot of research on them, and some are just how I feel, what I'm thinking about, and maybe how I can inspire others to take a different perspective on things.
Now, talk about inspiration. You did show me before the show that. Was it a CD that your daughter made?
Yes.
May
I hold it up?
Yeah, sure. Hold it up.
This is
here. What I can do is I can hold it to the audience.
Okay.
Let our superb cameraman Irv over there get a
close up. Okay.
Yeah. And so, what do you want to say about this?
Well, my daughter.
How old was she when she made this?
This is maybe 5 years ago.
Okay.
My daughter's, her name is Corey. She's now in college, but she wrote the lyrics, the melodies, and sang these songs. It's now up on iTunes, I can say that. But the most beautiful thing about this is that...
Is that a picture of her?
Yeah, that's her.
Okay.
It was really created to inspire teens to heal. And the songs are all written for teens that are experiencing chronic illness or disease, who maybe can't see their families.
Did she have a chronic illness or disease?
Nope.
Did she have someone close to her that had a chronic illness?
Nope. She just wanted to do something to help people. And she has a beautiful voice and wrote it. And she sings in Spanish as well. So that's pretty cool.
And she's away at college. She's studying music in college?
Actually, no. I think, again, this was one of her passions. But what is most beautiful about it is we wanted to do something for teens, and we donated the CD thousands to the top hospitals in Chicago, to St. Jude's Research Hospital in Memphis. It's really the Ronald McDonald houses where they support families going through surgeries. It's all over.
Do you ever get any letters or notes from children or families?
We've gotten some letters. Some people will post. We have a Facebook page, of course. I mean, it's all on social media, but people post and they say thank you for this, and it's helping us. So it's about just trying to make people feel good. People who are in a place and maybe feeling a little down and out. Here's some music, because music heals. It's very healing. Very healing.
And I assume when you're dancing, you're listening to music.
Dancing is my medicine. Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah.
Can you tell us more about the East meets West shift? More about the mind-body-spirit connection.
Yeah.
And I would assume when you're dancing, you got it all going.
The East meets West was just, I think, what we spoke about a little bit about trying to incorporate some of that spirituality into the way we look at wellness. I dance just because I enjoy it, and my dancing is more lyrical. I dance with veils a lot and movement, and I don't need to be patterned because I know how I'm going to move. So I just turn on any kind of genre, any music, and I move to it, and it's fun.
Did you have training?
Oh yeah, from years of dance training, ballet and jazz and tap, and I just got to a point where I do it for me. It's my medicine, I'm in my zone.
Yeah, I actually did dance therapy for a couple years.
Really?
Actually, maybe 3 years.
Really?
Yeah. So you learn how to use movement to express feelings or experiences or goals, etc.
And do you feel that it was helpful to you?
Extremely. Still use it today.
See.
Yeah.
I mean, because people do the Tai Chi and they do movement work, and it is that movement, it's that energy, and for me, it's very expressive.
Well, it's very Jungian, because if you can't incorporate the soul, in any type of therapy, it'll never work.
Oh, that's a great point. And thank you for saying that. It really is important.
Yeah, and Carl Jung, was involved. Bill W., the founder of AA, went to Carl Jung and he says, you got to have the spirit. And so instead of saying God, they would say higher power. Well, we've just got 1 minute to go.
Okay.
So what would you like to talk about? What would you like to be passionate about in the last minute?
Well, I would love to tell people that, please find me. I'm on all the social media platforms. I would love to see you and to connect with you. I'm soon to be creating my own podcast, and we'll be having my own spot on a radio show coming up in June. So I hope you join me there.
Is it going to be like a national radio, like over the internet?
It's internet based, and it's worldwide, and it is again has a spiritual undertone to it. So that fits what I'm doing so well, and I think my followers, my avatars will gravitate there and have an opportunity to just learn more. It's about learning.
Well, I can't beat that. For more information about Pam, Infinity Foundation, Interquest talk show, stay tuned to the credits at the end. Until next time, wish you good health, good fortune, and good spirits. Pam, it's been a pleasure to meet you.
Thank you.
For more information about this show, our guests, Infinity Foundation, or any of our other programs, please visit our website, infinityfoundation.org, or call us at 847-831-8828.